Welcome back to Great Guitarist of the Rock Era, where we dive into the lives of legends. Today we've got a story of the one and only John Sykes. But before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for the latest videos. John James Sykes, whose fingers dance across the fretboard like poetry in motion, was born July 29th in 1959 in Reading, Berkshire. Sykes first became interested in guitar at age 14 when his uncle showed him how to play some Eric Clapton licks. For the next 2 years, Sykes practiced on an old nylon string guitar. When the family moved from Ibiza back to Reading, Sykes got a new girlfriend and essentially gave up guitar for a year and a half. He didn't start playing again until he moved to Blackpool. He was then asked to join the band Street Fighter by his friend Mervyn Goldsworthy. He was influenced by the likes of Jimmy Page, Ritchie Blackmore, and Gary Moore. Sykes is known for his distinctive playing style, characterized by his fast alternate picking, use of pinch harmonics, and his sense of melody. Sykes began his professional music career when he left Street Fighter to join Tigers of Pantang. Sykes recorded 2 albums with the group, Spellbound and Crazy Nights, both of which were released in 1981. Sykes grew frustrated with the band, often butting heads with the other members. Sykes left the band 2 days before the start of a French tour in early 1982. However, he did appear on 2 tracks on the band's 4th album, The Cage. After leaving Tigers of Pantang, Sykes auditioned for Ozzy Osbourne's band, and he was briefly a member of John Sloman's Badlands. Despite a few shows and Sloman's procuring a recording contract with EMI, the band ultimately broke up after Sykes was approached to join Thin Lizzy. Through producer Chris Sangarides, Sykes was able to get in touch with Thin Lizzy frontman Phil Lynott. The two co-wrote and performed the single Please Don't Leave Me, which was released in 1982. After finishing the song, Sykes joined Thin Lizzy and performed on the album Thunder and Lightning, as well as the Live Life album, and a live album recorded by the BBC of the band's last show at the Reading Festival in 1983. After this farewell tour, John joined Phil Lynott for Phil's solo tour of Europe. Sykes was recruited by David Coverdale to join Whitesnake, initially turning down the invite until Lynott gave his approval. He was then tasked with recording new guitar parts for the U.S. release of the band's 1984 album, Slide It In, embarking on a lengthy world tour. Slide It In became Whitesnake's first major success in the United States, selling over 500,000 copies. Sykes co-wrote 9 songs with vocalist David Coverdale for Whitesnake's 1987 album, pushing the band towards a more mainstream sound, which Coverdale described as leaner, meaner, and more electrifying. The two began writing together in the south of France in early 1985. During that time, however, Coverdale's relationship with the rest of the band began to sour, with him eventually firing all other members of the group, including Sykes, after the album was finished. Whitesnake's 7th album was eventually released in April 1987, and it became the band's most commercially successful album, selling over 8 million copies in the U.S. Following his dismissal from Whitesnake, Sykes formed Blue Murder, which featured bassist Tony Franklin and drummer Carmen Appice. Blue Murder's self-titled debut album was released in April 1989, and it reached number 69 on the Billboard chart. The band then embarked on a tour across America and Japan. During the recording of their sophomore effort, Franklin and Appice left Blue Murder, while Sykes recruited Marco Mendoza and Tommy Osteen on bass and drums. At the same time, Sykes was being considered to replace the deceased Steve Clark in Def Leppard. Ultimately, the band would hire Vivian Campbell. Blue Murder, meanwhile, released their second album, Nothing But Trouble, in 1993. It failed to chart, something Sykes attributed to Geffen Records, whom he felt did nothing to promote the album. In 1994, Blue Murder released a live album, Screaming Blue Murder, dedicated to Phil Lynott, after which the band were dropped from their label and broke up. In 1994, Sykes, along with former Thin Lizzy members Brian Downey, Scott Gorham, and Darren Wharton, formed a new touring version of Thin Lizzy, which was presented as a tribute to Phil Lynott. In 2000, the group released the live album, One Night Only. Sykes continued to front the Thin Lizzy through various lineup changes before announcing his departure in 2009. John Sykes states music was my salvation. It was the only thing that made sense in this crazy world. But success didn't come easy for Sykes. From battling personal demons to facing industry giants, his journey was fraught with challenges. After parting ways with Geffen Records, Sykes signed with the Japanese branch of Mercury Records and released his first solo album, Out of My Tree, in 1995. Sykes released his second solo album, Love Land, in 1997. That same year, he released 20th Century, a companion album to Love Land featuring heavier material. In 2000, Sykes released Nuclear Cowboy. After a failed attempt to secure a European record deal with Z Records, Sykes signed a distribution deal with Burnside Distribution in 2003, which made his solo albums available in the US for the first time. In 2005, Sykes released Bad Boy Live, a live album featuring songs from his time with Whitesnake, Thin Lizzy, Blue Murder, as well as his solo material. During an appearance on That Metal Show in 2011, Sykes revealed he was forming a new band with drummer Mike Portnoy. However, according to Eddie Trunk, Sykes was not on the same timetable as the others. Sykes was later replaced by Richie Kotzen. The group became the Winery Dogs with Billy Sheehan on bass. In 2013, Sykes revealed he was working on a new, still unreleased solo album. On January 1st, 2021, Sykes released Dawning of a Brand New Day, his first new song in over 20 years. This was followed up by Out Alive in July of 2021. Sykes has used a 1978 Gibson Les Paul Custom throughout most of his career. The guitar is fitted with chrome hardware, Grover tuners, and a brass nut. In 2006, Gibson produced a limited number of Les Pauls based on Sykes' model. Sykes mainly uses EVH 5153 amplifiers and cabinets. He previously used modified Marshall JCM 800s. For Whitesnake's 1987 album and the first Blue Murder record, Sykes used two Mesa Boogie Coliseum heads with Mark III preamp sections and 6L6 power tubes. Sykes has been included in several greatest guitarist lists and influenced countless guitarists around the world. And there you have it, folks. The story of John Sykes, a rock virtuoso who left an indelible mark on the music world. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of a legend, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your fellow rockers, and comment below your favorite John Sykes moment. Until next time, keep rocking and stay legendary.